On Thursday, British writer and politician Jonathan Aitken presented his biography of Nursultan Nazarbayev to a distinguished crowd in Moscow. Critics have already labeled the book the Nazarbayev's administration response to the ban in Kazakhstan godfather-in-law by Rahat Aliyev.
Prime Minister Karim Masimov was among the first readers of the new masterpiece by Jonathan Aitken and acknowledged the book's quality. The author delved into Nursultan Nazarbayev's past and revealed that even then it was clear that future president is destined to become leader of the nation. Moreover, the biographer appears to know his hero for a long time.
We know Nursultan Nazarbayev as a president, but you saw him as a totally different person. A steelmaker standing by an open hearth furnace, fearless back then and still fearless now.
Jonathan Aitken is a former British minister and conservative MP. He wrote 12 books about celebrities, including Richard Nixon. Interestingly, in 1999, the writer was accused of perjury and sentenced to 18 months of imprisonment. Aitken decided to write about Nazarbayev after learning about the president's amazingly long political career, which started back to Khrushchev's time. The biographer considers the new title of Nazarbayev very expected and natural.
In reality, President Nazarbayev certainly is the leader of his nation. He certainly is the father of his country. In the West, we don't use such titles. We just use president or we use prime minister. But I've known many countries where those kind of titles are used. So this is something which is part of presumably the culture of Kazakhstan.
The only slight criticism concerned the slow development of the parliamentary democracy. In general, though, the author considered his work objective, as it even covers the past family troubles with Rahat Aliyev. Meanwhile, critics already called this piece a response to infamous Aliyev's book, Godfather-in-Law. Journalists, however, were not given a chance to find whether it was true. The presentation ended immediately after the British biographer thanked his Kazakh friends for helping him finish the book and hinted that he already has an idea for a sequel.
More than 100 suits against the Ministry of Communication were filed across the country. People are displeased with the authorities limiting their access to the internet. Find out more from next report.
During the Thursday's press conference in Almaty, activists of Kaznet Freedom Movement reported about 121 suits filed against the Ministry of Information and Communication by internet users from Astana, Almaty and 15 regions of Kazakhstan. The popular blogging platform LiveJournal.com is inaccessible in the country for more than 1.5 years, while internet portal Respublika and some other web resources are also being blocked.
Internet resource can be blocked only upon court orders, but I and my colleagues never saw any of such orders. Thus, I don't understand why we pay for the internet and cannot access information we need.
Users from Ust-Kamenogorsk were among the first who appealed to the court, demanding to lift the blockage from the forum, partner of the portal Respublika Info. The petitioners believe that the Ministry of Information and Communication, which is legally responsible for the state and technical supervision, does not undertake proper measures for the protection of the user's constitutional rights for unrestricted access to information.
A precedent is necessary for all remaining media outlets to know what can and cannot be written. A specific court decision is needed to explain the reasons behind the closing of the portal Respublika. These reasons must be stipulated somewhere in the Constitution or in some other documents.
Press service representatives of the Communication Ministry say they do not know about the suits yet and also deny fact of blocking any resources. Consequently, they avoid commenting on the civil initiative and ask journalists to submit official inquiries.
The Information and Archive Committee was found guilty but will face no consequences. This decision was announced on May 20th by the Cassation Board of the Astana City Court after the newspaper Maya Respublika filed an action against the Ministry of Information and Communication.
Knowing firsthand the particularities of Kazakh legal system, attorney Sergei Utkin ritualistically placed some money on the scale of justice in front of the city court in hopes this will help him. The scales moved and the lawyer went to the hearing. In the court, Utkin learned of the prosecutor Bahidjan Alashev's opinion, who believes that the decision of appellate court must be recalled due to violation and the fact that the court exceeded requirements. The prosecutor never specified what requirements he was talking about, and the floor was given to the representatives of the Committee of Information and Archives. The officials asked to make the only legal, in their opinion at least, decision not to restore the publication's registration and not reimburse the money. The court followed the advice.
The court rules to exclude the following instructions from the final resolution. The Committee of Information and Archives of the Information and Communication Ministry should fully eliminate the violations of rights and interests of ADP Limited concerning the registration of the newspaper Maya Respublika Fakты События Люди and the recovery of all legal costs.
When asked what was left in the resolution, the judge said that there was nothing, as everything was excluded. The publication's attorney is confident that this decision is just another attempt to silence the outlet for good.
I don't even know what happened today. This vengeful persecution of an independent newspaper has turned into a parody. The entire judicial system is a laughingstock.
Interestingly, courts of all levels recognized the guilt of Ministry and its Committee of Information and Archives, in particular Damir Medinamov, who actually lost the documents. In other words, the action of officials were proved illegitimate. Nevertheless, judge still refused to restore the rights of the publication.
With their actions, the judicial authorities display their uselessness in restoration and protection of rights. We will now wait for the decision of the Supreme Court, and we're going to submit the appeal there. Let us see if the same situation will repeat and the judges will once again prove that they do nothing useful there, working out some illegal actions and then presenting them as a norm.
If the Supreme Court will uphold the decision, it will be virtually impossible to re-register the publication. After all, even if the newspaper staff will restore the permit, another negligent official could easily lose the document again. This will force Maya Respublika to enter the vicious circle of restoring all documents over and over, while officials will continue losing them.
Almost a year passed since the change of leadership in the state company Kazakhstan. On Thursday, new management represented by Vice President Galimjan Pirmatov met with reporters in Almaty to assess the recent work of the company.
The cooperation between Kazakhstan and investors from Japan has been frozen for a year now. The change of the company's leadership halted all talks not only with Japanese but also Chinese partners. On the eve of Mukhtar Jakishev's dismissal, the holdings management met with journalists but preferred to redirect many important questions to the state authorities.
This question should be answered by the government, since I do not have information on what has been blocked. I'm sure they will timely consider the proposal of Japanese investors on entering the Urania Uvan.
Asylbek Dusembin, Kazakhstan former employee, says that it is already too late and Kazakhstan was left behind Russia. The former deputy head of the company's legal department considered Jakishev arrest political order of the neighboring country. Once considering a nexus, Kazakhstan is now turning into a supplier of raw materials.
After Jakishev's arrest, Kazakhstan is turning into a raw materials appendage, while Russia is getting into areas it could never reach before.
Mukhtar Jakishev also talked about it. While in the detention ward, he warned that Kazakhstan faces a real perspective of becoming a raw material appendage of Russia.
All agreements we had to sign with Chinese and Japanese in June and July respectively remained unsigned.
The company administration, however, stated that it continues to follow Jakishev's course, and the global strategy of building a vertically integrated company remains in place. For these purposes, the holding has even issued $500 million worth of Eurobonds. The speakers also noticed that the company is increasing the mining output from the last year's 14.5 thousand tons to 18,000 this year.
On May 20th, an activist of the unregistered party Alga, Vladimir Kozlov, was released from jail after serving his 15-day sentence. The oppositionist was charged with the organization of an unauthorized rally.
In general, there's quite a lot of communication among the inmates. They listen to what we say with considerable attention. My every jail time brings up to 5 new party members.
These were all news from Kazakhstan. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.